The origins of bourbon. Have you ever pondered how this variant of whiskey came to be? The tale of bourbon starts with the Moors' migration into Western Europe, a chapter that paved the way for many of today's most cherished spirits. The journey, however, truly begins in Pennsylvania, where settlers started distilling whiskey using rye as its primary ingredient. As the process shifted to Kentucky, corn replaced rye as the main element, laying the groundwork for bourbon's magnificent debut. Enter Reverend Elijah Craig from Bourbon County, a frugal man with a knack for repurposing barrels. To ship his whiskey to the New Orleans market, he charred old barrels, which softened the whiskey and offered it a light caramel hue. Hailing from Bourbon County, he began referring to the whiskey as bourbon. As it happens, the birth of bourbon was a wonderful accident, thanks to a frugal reverend and his charred barrels. So, what separates bourbon from its whiskey brethren? Let's delve into the ingredients and processes that make each unique. First off, bourbon has a strict set of criteria to meet before it can proudly wear the name. The rules of the game are simple but precise. To be called bourbon, a spirit must be made of at least 51% corn. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. This grainy foundation is what gives bourbon its sweet, full-bodied flavor. The next rule is all about location. Just as champagne must hail from its namesake region in France, bourbon must be born and brewed in the United States. And when it comes to aging, bourbon doesn't do things by halves. It must be aged in brand new charred oak barrels, with most distilleries choosing the robust American white oak for their vessels. But how long does this aging process take? Well, that's where the rules get a little flexible. Bourbon must be aged for at least 2 years, but most distilleries choose to keep their bourbon cozy in those barrels for over 4 years. This extended maturation period allows the spirit to develop a deeper, more complex flavor profile. Now, let's turn our attention to whiskey. Unlike its bourbon cousin, whiskey is a bit of a wild card when it comes to ingredients. The type of grain used can vary, with some whiskeys, like Ireland's Jameson, blending malted and unmalted barley for a unique flavor combination. And the barrel? Well, that's up for grabs too. Whiskey isn't as picky as bourbon about its aging process. It can be matured in different types of oak barrels, and there's no hard and fast rule about how long it needs to age. And let's clear the air about Jack Daniel's, a well-known whiskey often mistaken for bourbon. Jack Daniel's is indeed a whiskey, as it undergoes an additional charcoal filtering process before it's barreled. In essence, while all bourbons are whiskey, not all whiskeys can claim the title of bourbon. This is because bourbon's distinct character comes from its specific recipe and process, making it a unique member of the whiskey family. Bourbon, while specific in its criteria, also offers a canvas for creativity. Let's explore the variations that give each bourbon its unique flavor. First, the grain. While at least 51% of the mash must be corn, the remaining 49% can be a mix of other grains. Some distilleries might opt for rye, giving the bourbon a spicy kick, while others might choose wheat, as in the case of Maker's Mark, to lend a softer, smoother finish. Next, the yeast. Distilleries often guard their yeast strains closely, as these can significantly influence the taste, aroma, and texture of the bourbon. The preparation of the corn and the proof at which the bourbon is distilled can also affect the flavor profile. High-proof bourbons often have a stronger, more robust taste, while lower-proof ones are usually smoother and more mellow. The aging process is another area where distilleries can experiment. Factors like the rotation of the barrel, the level of char inside the barrel, and the length of aging all play a role in defining the character of the bourbon. The artistry of bourbon lies in these subtle variations, each contributing to a unique taste and experience. Bourbon, like many things in America, is a testament to the nation's ability to take something from around the world and make it distinctly American. It represents a rich tapestry of tradition, innovation, and heritage, deeply embedded in the fabric of the nation. Rooted in the practices of migrants and settlers, bourbon has evolved to become a symbol of American culture. It's a testament to the nation's spirit of reinvention and resilience. In the end, bourbon is more than just a drink. It's a piece of American history, celebrated in every sip.